Alright, Ulm, turn 88. Doing our summoning, mechanical men, wyverns, a little arcane probing, didn't find anything. Augury, didn't find anything. More common in the late game. Constructing more golems, doing a little site searching, not finding anything. And yeah, our attack went off. Caught a few other battles between other people. Our axe warriors doing their thing against minimal PD. And then this is our main army jumping on the fort, the throne fort of Helheim. And there was just minimal PD here. And then there was a battle in Yomi that was a little more interesting, so we'll take a look at that. And so yeah, this is Yomi sallying out with a bunch of Wraith Lords, pretty much all unkitted, yeah, from what I recall. And looks like they're just going to do, you know, skeleton spam, which is enough to trigger gem usage, right? That was Fog Warriors coming off from Helheim. I don't think that this really has much chance of, you know, actually overwhelming Helheim's army here. And then that was Wind of Death coming out. You can see a lot of these skeletons got hit with decay. Kind of interesting that skeletons can be affected by Wind of Decay. I would not have expected that. That's a battlefield-wide effect, so that could hit Helheim's troops, but they seem to have good enough magic resistance. I'm not really seeing a lot of decay from Helheim's side, so yeah, that was pretty effective. Although I don't think it really got any of the Wraith Lords who, you know, have decent magic resistance base. You know, nothing amazing, but I think it's a relatively easy check for Wind of Death without a lot of penetration gear. But yeah, I mean, the skeleton spam gets burned through really quickly, you know, from this army. I think most of these Wraith Lords are now asleep. Yeah. And so, you know, it's not going to take too long for the army to roll over them. So possibly just trying to bait gems before an assault there. And then, yeah, we continue to raid. Axe Warriors doing their thing. This is a Wraith Lord taking out, you know, some PD. And then Axe Warriors taking out more PD. And then let's see, we have kind of an interesting one in Forbidden Forest. This is our Spectre. And then this is just kind of minimal PD, but he bumped into probably like a site searcher here. So this is the same adventure that we got from that event. Looks like Helheim probably also got that event where adventurers get chased out. And yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see, you know, he's going to have no problem against just a little bit of Deer Tribe, but it'll be interesting to see. Okay, yeah, she goes for panic spam. I guess that makes sense. The AI definitely likes, the spellcasting AI likes that, yeah, more panic spam. Yeah, you'd think maybe there'd be something more useful. I guess Charm requires Nature 3, which would be kind of scary for this guy. His magic resistance is not that high. You know, I mean, 17's not bad, but it's not great either. But at Nature 2, yeah, she just kind of goes for that panic spam, which, you know, his morale is decent enough. So yeah, we take that without any issue. And then this is our Wraith Lord. There's just a few random ghouls here, but you know, he has no problem with that. Let's see, I think that was, oh yeah, no, yep, more Axe Warrior raiding. I mean, you don't really run into a lot of resistance here, and you know, 20 Axe Warriors. Honestly, maybe could get away with going down to like 15 or 10 Axe Warriors. The tighter you cut it, the more likely you are to run into attrition. You know, for like most of these, I mean, we still do a little bit of attrition, you know, because Axe Warriors just, you know, they don't have a lot of protection. They're all about, you know, that attack. But, you know, I mean, oftentimes we're getting like no attrition. So if we only had like 10 Axe Warriors, we'd probably still be winning, but we'd be taking more casualties. So yeah, maybe want to play with these numbers, you know, try to be even more efficient, but 20 Axe Warriors feels pretty good for most levels of the PD that you're going to run into, at least in my experience. And then there was kind of an interesting battle here in Kunaral. I heard from that, you know, he was having some issues with the underwater nations. And yeah, this is, I think, in this game, at least from what I've seen, the first time, you know, we've seen an underwater nation coming onto the land. And there's not a whole lot here. Quite a bit of PD. But I don't think any of this is like actual troops. But, you know, a little interesting to see. I believe this is Relay. Looks like they just have some of these like slave troopers, pretty garbage. You know, no protection really to speak of. Yeah, so they're going to be super cheap. Yeah, upkeep only 3 gold a year. They're starving. That's not great. But you know, they're here to just, you know, soak up missile fire and evocations and stuff. And then he's got a ton of these Shambler Thralls, kind of interesting. They have a little bit of natural protection. You know, I mean, they tend to die, you know, also slaves, like mindless. I believe, yeah, they're tramplers. So they're only size 3, but, you know, against human units, they'll be able to trample decently well. And as you can see, you can get quite a few of them. So against size 2 units, these guys can be really effective, but they do tend to die very quickly. And then there are some of these slave guardians who are probably, well, in the Middle Age, these guys I think are a little better. They have decent protection. Their skills are like, okay, I guess this guy's a little messed up. Yeah, it's just his hit points. This is possibly from the starvation. You can see like this guy's diseased. Like this is a lot of starvation for this army. I mean, these are all like these are pretty cheap to bring in, but still kind of hurts to see all this starvation. And yeah, I mean, this bone trident is decently damaging, but nothing crazy. So, you know, these guys are better than some of the other units that we've looked at, but still not fantastic. These are just completely like garbage chaff. These guys are pretty bad. You know, they'll fill the numbers out, I guess. But he has quite a bit of mage support here. Not too familiar with these guys. Looks like they get some randoms, quite a bit of astral, so they can commune together. You know, a lot of water, not that surprising for an underwater nation. Quite a few water gems on these guys. So yeah, here's some water elementals. Obviously going to be very common for underwater nations. But yeah, these guys have a lot of communion potential. Looks like they have earth and astral mixed in, so they could be dropping some meteors. Looks like the nice thing about these guys is, yeah, poor amphibians. Probably they get tails. Some units that are marked as poor amphibians on land, when they go underwater, they actually like lose that tag because they like just automatically change forms. But anyway, these guys are nice because it looks like they have no problem going above water, right? Which can be an issue for some of their mages. For example, these mind lords here, yeah, they have this amulet of the fish. So that will allow, you know, aquatic units, which normally can't come onto the land, to come onto the land. So it's kind of rough for early age relay because a lot of their best mages, you know, you can see this guy's like really high astral, got a little bit of death, good water. Yeah, similar kind of story, looks like. In fact, it looks like their paths are pretty consistent. Yeah, a little bit of variation. So this one's got a little earth mixed in. That's cool. But anyway, like, yeah, relays, like really powerful mages, you know, they have to have an item to come up onto land, like for each one. And they don't have, you know, they only have 2 slots anyway. So, you know, a little tough. They do get an enslave mind attack, just like built in, which is pretty cool. So yeah, only 5 ammunition, but still, I mean, you know, built-in enslaved mind is very powerful, more powerful in the early game. Definitely very powerful mage. You know, a lot of hit points, but yeah, it's just tough to get it up onto land. So anyway, this army shouldn't have too much trouble taking out this PD, although he does lose his, you know, frontal evocation soakers there. But yeah, the Shambler Thralls just roll over everything, although they will struggle. They won't be able to trample a lot of Ur's troops, their national troops, because Ur's national troops are size 3. So yeah, I'd been talking with the Ur player, you know, trying to convince them to come in against Helheim, but, you know, they'd mentioned that they had underwater issues, and yeah, here's some evidence of that. And then, yeah, this is just a final raid from our Axe Warriors, doing quite well. And then, yeah, this was a double assault against Yomi. So we'll take a look at these guys. I think one of these was a throne. A bit of a smaller force from Helheim, but, you know, still plenty of mage support. And then, yeah, Yomi, just kind of a pile of random demons and Oni, but a decent amount of them. And then quite a few of these, Nominaries. So I think, yeah, there's a research item on them. I think Yomi usually uses these, yeah, for like researchers. So these aren't really intended as like battle mages. That said, like, you know, Nature 1, they don't really have any gems, it looks like. So yeah, they're just doing protection. That's kind of all this green stuff here. So that's the 1 square area of effect bark skin, you know, which is not terrible, right? You know, brings their protection up. Yeah, it looks like they don't really have too much natural protection normally, so it gives them decent protection. And, you know, I mean, the Ko-Oni, because they pack in more tightly, you know, you get more of them per square for the point buffing, so they're a little better to point buff. But yeah, I mean, maybe he's just completely out of nature gems, but I think some swarm spam here would have been kind of nice. And then, yeah, he has... 1 Oni Shugo, 2 Oni Shugos. This one looks like he's been kitted out a little bit, sort of a repel build. Yeah, pretty high attack, could work. This guy, no kidding. So yeah, not sure what he's gonna do. Death to skeletons. Usually a safe bet. But yeah, not really a ton of gem usage. So he does have enough stuff to block the gap here. The bigger Oni, of course, are going to throw their flames. And then, of course, from Helheim, all the normal stuff. Wailing Winds, no darkness because he's up against a bunch of demons. He's got like a lone Hell Hurting here. Wow, really messed up Hell Hurting. He's been cursed. Looks like he got down Mass Regeneration. Yep. So it looks like Helheim is mixing in probably from, this guy right here. Wow, who's been empowered in blood and then been boosted in blood by this item, a fairly expensive booster. So yeah, this is a pretty scary caster. He's got some penetration gear here as well, and he's quite high level nature, so this guy is probably like intended to spam charm. And it looks like Helheim has also gotten Fog Warriors and whatever the mass air shield is down as well. So some leech, that's a blood spell. Yeah, this did not go well. I don't think the Oni didn't get like nearly the same level of buffs. Like maybe, yeah. So this guy got some protection on him, so that's nice. But otherwise, he is an unsupported Oni. He's berserking, so that's good because otherwise, there's a good chance he would have run. And then, yeah, speaking of running, yeah, wow. I guess Ko-Oni don't really have fantastic morale, so Wailing Winds, pretty effective against them. A lot of these research mages are also just bailing. And, yeah. Once like Nature 1, Death 1, that's not a super powerful cross path. Not very powerful paths individually, like without any gems. There's not really anything else they're going to be able to do. And then, yeah, quite a few of them are just running away anyway. So, yeah, that goes pretty well for Helheim, I would say. Yeah. No casualties whatsoever. Not that they were up against, a ton of stuff, but still, I mean, this is not nothing. So kind of sad to see that, isn't able to accomplish anything at all. And then for the other assault, let's take a look. I think this was the throne. Yeah, quite a few sacreds here. So this looks like where most of the Hell Hurtings are, with still, quite a bit of mage support, at least, one Queen of Elemental Air, a lot of Eagles, mostly for siege strength, no doubt. And then they're up against just a huge pile of Ko-Oni, pretty much completely unsupported. So this probably isn't going to go well for them. It is nice because it is in the dark, right? It's in a cave, so and the Ko-Oni don't care. But of course, the Hell Hurtings also have Spirit Sight. So that doesn't really matter. And then, yeah, Wailing Winds. Yeah, their morale is not great. So Wailing Winds is going to be really nasty. Also, Demon Cleansing went up, which is a battlefield-wide spell that just makes it so that demons take double damage from everything. And then some Earthquake. That looks like it's got to be from Helheim. The only one with mage support. Didn't do a ton of damage, but you can see these guys pack in real tight, which can be useful for buffing them up. But then, when they get hit by things like Falling Frost and, lightning and etc., then they're going to take more damage. Yeah, there's Falling Frost right there. And it doesn't take too much for these guys to rout. Looks like they were all in one squad, which is kind of sad. Yeah, I think, when you have this many units, it wouldn't have made a difference here, but it is good to split them out into different squads. You don't want your squads to be too small, but, if they're all in one squad, all it takes is one bad roll on their morale checks, and then, you lose the whole army. Whereas, if you have them split out into groups of like 50 or 70 in that case, then one group routes, you're still going to have the other groups. So anyway, yeah, that went really badly for Yomi. Not really sure. Yeah, I don't think this was an Oni pit. Sometimes they Oni are free spawn, so and you need, I think, high turmoil, high unrest. I'm not actually sure exactly what governs. I'll have to look it up. But generally, as Yomi, you create certain provinces where your Oni are going to spawn in. And people just call them Oni pits. So I don't think this was an Oni pit. Sometimes you see like a stack of Oni that's unsupported like this. It's like, oh, maybe you just hadn't, collected them. and moved him out into an actual army. But, considering this was in a fort and it was a throne, yeah, it's kind of, I guess they're going to provide decent siege defense, although they're undisciplined. So, not really. I don't know. Yeah, would like to see like some mages helping these Kooni out, because 435 Kooni supported by mages could be kind of scary. That said, with the low morale against Wailing Winds, it was going to be tough. But anyway, yeah. Helheim loses basically nothing. And then, we had some unexpected events. Found a few nature gems, fairy court. A bunch of people died in wildfires. And then, one nature gem. People who say, like, oh, you're still going to get some good events with misfortune. I mean, that's true. But anyway, it's a little different when you have luck. So, yeah, not totally sold on that. We lose a scout, and then most of the rest of this doesn't matter, except this one. So this is the throne province from Helheim, and this is definitely not the message that we wanted to see. So the walls are undamaged. So, we knew that we were going to break them down in one turn, but this is bad news. So, I'll have to take a look and see what is going on. So if we take a look at this fortification, we can see that its wall integrity is now 1500, which is nonsense, unless, magic is involved, which it definitely is. So there's a spell. I think it's Iron Walls, maybe Enchantment. It's definitely an Earth spell. Maybe Alteration. So many useful things in Alteration. Yep, here it is. Iron Walls. Yeah, so you need 10, and it's an enchantment that's going to last for, a certain number of turns, and it's something you can dump additional gems into. So it's going to cost you 10 just to put it up, and then for every additional gem you put into it, it's going to last like one more turn. And it just makes it so the fort gets, 1,000 more wall strength. So yeah, this fort is now significantly more difficult to take. Kind of the counterpart to this is Crumble, also an earth spell. And that's going to deal damage to fort walls. It takes 20 earth gems, so it's not cheap, and it's only 250 points of damage, so it's not fantastic. It's a lot less than 1,000. But you get 25 additional points of damage for each level of earth skill you have over. And the defenders, they are going to take some damage. It's not much damage, so I think mostly this doesn't really matter. Unless potentially you're storming the same turn, in which case, that damage is still going to be present on the units. But you're not going to kill a lot of units, with this damage alone. And, it's fairly high level earth, right? Level 5 just to cast it. So you're probably not going to get, a ton of this additional, points of damage. You're probably looking at, 250, maybe 300, maybe 400 if you're a really powerful caster. So yeah, it's not quite as good, but it's going to help. And that is something we are casting with our Pretender, who is Earth 6, so 275 points of damage. So we're casting Crumble at this guy. And let's see here. We have, 449, siege strength. And we are bringing in, another 445 siege strength. So hopefully, between those two armies combined, cast of Crumble, we'll have enough earth gems next turn. You can see the gems quite low, as always. So next month, we will be able to cast Crumble again if we need to. Hopefully we will not. But yeah, going to try to break these walls down. So looks like 3 turns might have been too optimistic in terms of how long we needed. I don't know whether Helheim, was tipped off by the fact that our gargoyles showed up here last turn, so he was thinking like, okay, all might be attacking here, or whether he is just maintaining iron walls like on all of his throne forts like all the time. Which is kind of expensive, for earth gems, because it's something that's going to expire, right? So you can set it up to last for quite a long time, but it's going to cost you quite a few earth gems. So I know a lot of times people will only cast it once the fort is already under siege. As long as the fort hasn't been cracked, you can cast Iron Walls to, boost its siege strength or wall integrity. Once it's been cracked, you cannot like a cast of Iron Walls on an already cracked fort will do nothing. So if your fort it is a little bit dangerous if it's going to get one turn cracked. You may not have time to respond. So putting it up early is not super crazy, but it's definitely not something I was anticipating. And yeah, may have been triggered by the fact that those gargoyles showed up there, but maybe something that you already had set up. But that's not good. But overall, like every attack succeeded, right? So our Wraith Lords did well. They're moving out to try to raid more provinces. We have Vine Willow up here, who's also going to be helping out to do the raiding or do more raiding. All of our Axe Warrior attacks went well. Like this all looks pretty good, other than the actual like siege situation. Mostly with our Axe Warrior groups, we are sneaking. Definitely concerned about like Cloud Trapeze, Magic Phase attacks to just wipe out our Axe Warrior groups. 20 Axe Warriors, as discussed, do pretty well against minimal PD. They're going to do a lot less well against a kitted out Van Jarl. So I think these will be pretty easy groups for him to destroy if he jumps on top of them. But of course, you can't jump on top of stealthy units as long as they sneak out of the province. So this slows down the pace of our raiding, right? We're not going to really be able to take provinces with these groups next turn. But it will keep them safe, and Helheim has plenty of Magic Phase attack options. He also has Golems, so he can teleport some Golems onto us. So yeah, being cautious for the most part. We are using one Axe Warrior group to actually just raid. I figure it's if most of them stealth, you can probably use like one or two Axe Warrior groups each turn that are actually going to capture provinces and not stealth. Because then he has to guess. It's like, okay, there was 7 Axe Warrior raids this turn. 1 or 2 of them are going to raid another province. What are the odds I'm actually going to jump on the right one? Just don't bother. So we'll see, being a little greedy here, but mostly being pretty cautious, which again slows down the pace of our raiding. So there are definitely downsides to, stealthing out, but should keep them alive longer, which is going to be important because we're not going to kill Helheim very quickly. Otherwise, we've deployed most of our troops. We still have a decent force here in Kailasa. I'm trying to set up these Wraith Lord groups with some trolls to use Soul Vortex and just generate a ton of skeletons that way. So he's going to hopefully use these regenerating trolls to drain fatigue from them so that he can basically just create infinite skeletons to really block up the gate and make it very difficult to capture these forts. Not expecting too many attacks here. In the good news department, has moved this huge army off of our border, so very happy about that. We do have a nap with them, but they do have Gift of Nature's bounty up. Yeah, you can see the recruitment is continuing basically everywhere because they have a ton of money. This is where they were raided, and they had a lot of PD here. Right, so they have a lot of money to throw around. So still a little bit concerned about them. Still not 100% sure what Vanheim is gonna do. So yeah, just trying to play with actually leaving some of my forts defended that aren't right on the front line. Maybe this is a waste of resources. Maybe should be taking all of it and throwing it against Helheim. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Still have some stuff on the Throne province as well to help defend it, and some stuff here on this province where we're doing most of our summoning because we have this site. So yeah, and then trying to bring some stuff onto the the capital, Ulm proper, a little belatedly. I think bringing a Troll King in, so he'll be able to do Army of Lead and some Axe Warriors, a little bit of defense. So we'll see. Ideally, most of the fighting is going to be in Helheim's territory, but I'm sure, he's going to raid in, he's an elf faction. He has a ton of resources. There's definitely going to be raids against us. So trying to prepare for the counter raiding. We are also bringing up, let's see here, where did he go? Let's hide these researchers. Venom Spew. So this is our Wraith Lord who is kitted out with penetration gear, and he's got this crystal shield that's going to boost his magic paths. So we're going to be using, he's been empowered in air, so we're going to be using him for Wind of Death and possibly Wailing Winds. So yeah, and he is bringing up our ghosts. So yeah, we'll see. You know, this is like a slightly different threat vector. It's a little bit behind, unfortunately, but this is going to be kind of difficult, at least in terms of Wind of Death, to mix in with our regular troops, like especially our human troops that have low magic resistance. So yeah, he's lagging behind a little bit, but you know, we'll see. He might get a chance to, you know, do something. And then probably the only other thing we're doing of note this turn is moving out a couple of our kitted Wraith Lords. You know, I've talked before, and we've seen it demonstrated usually by Helheim about assaulting forts with, you know, more elite units rather than trying to slam your whole army into it. So the plan is to actually have these Wraith Lords try to go in and capture this. Maybe, you know, with some of our gargoyles. Definitely don't want to send them in completely alone. Probably want some, you know, undead chaff along with them to spread out any undead specific killing spells. A lot of this kit is fairly anti-elite focused, right, with the moon blades. So that's going to be really good against magic beings. And we have, you know, great sort of sharpness here, which is also going to be, you know, really high damage. They are going to struggle a little bit to clear out chaff. We do have this guy who's more in chaff clearing mode, so you know he's got a frost brand, and then this shield will, you know, just do lightning bolt all around him. So you know, he's going to be better at clearing out weaker units. But they might struggle if there's just, you know, a bunch of skeleton production or something like that. So this squad may be a little too focused on killing elites. That said, Helheim usually brings fewer but tougher troops. So yeah, we'll see how these guys do. I'm still not convinced this is the best kitting, but you know, it should be decent enough. It's definitely not cheap kitting. And then otherwise, yeah, in terms of, you know, the rest of the war with Helheim and how that's going, I definitely say that it's not looking as good for Yomi now. This is the throne that they lost, and I believe this is the other fort that they lost. It does look like they are sieging back, you know, one of their thrones, but this could just be a Dione locking it down, where, you know, it's going to be unlikely to take it. So, you know, hard to tell whether this is actually like a long-term thing or really more of a raid. But yeah, I mean, Helheim is definitely pushing in. You can see there's still quite a few forts for Yomi that are under siege. This is Agartha, which is under siege, which hurts because that's a capital. And then this is Yomi, so Yomi's capital, and this is cracked. And there's quite a bit of stuff on top of here. 140 units for what Helheim has been bringing is quite a few. And there could be quite a few hell hurtings here that we can't actually see. So there's a decent chance that there's going to be a storm here next turn. So I think we've seen what's inside Yomi, and you know he's got a decent amount of stuff in there, so maybe he can turn this around. But yeah, it's a tall order, so it's not looking good for Yomi, which is not good for us, because then that means that stuff is going to be directed our way. So yeah, hopefully we can bring down the walls of this throne fort, you know, and capture some more provinces from Helheim before Yomi is finished off, and then hopefully Vanheim jumps in against Helheim as well, you know, and we're able to make some progress. So yeah, I think that covers turn 88. All right, Ulm, turn 89. We have Helheim claiming another throne. So yeah, they're starting to get close. We'll maybe take a look at that later. We missed with a site search, and we're bringing in a Wraith Lord, and then we cast Crumble. So heavily damaged, but the gate still holds. That's expected. We weren't expecting Crumble to do all of our work for us, but yeah, hopefully that'll get us close enough. And then yeah, lots of battles. So we got counter-rated. This is the Vanyarl leading some ghouls, probably from a remote attack spell. I think there's a spell that will give you ghouls, and then you know, send them around, and they have no trouble with, you know, our 1 PD here. And then yeah, this one's kind of interesting, catching a little bit in Ur's struggles against the underwater nations, who haven't really been too much of a factor on land this game, at least that I've seen. And so yeah, this is an air elemental like kill squad. Looks like, you know, probably all air kudos. So this is pretty dangerous, but Yeah, I mean, they're up against a lot here. We saw this army in action. It may have gotten reinforced. So I do think, like, this, you know, Evo Bait squad got eliminated. Yeah, there's, like, some, probably Soul Slay. Yeah, Soul Slay. So some of these Gudus are getting Soul Slayed. Once all the Gudus are gone, yeah, then it doesn't really even matter if you can't kill the air elementals, because they're not going to have any leadership anymore, so they'll just disappear. And there's probably enough mage support here that they would be able to kill those air elementals anyway. So yeah, looks like that did not work out. Yeah, I mean, you know, killed a decent amount of units. Like, most of this is pretty chaffy, so probably not worth like the 4 Gudus and all the air gems and everything. So yeah, does have quite a bit of money right now because their global situation, but yeah, probably still not worth it. Anyway, kind of interesting. And then we get counter rated in Gnome Peaks. That's kind of interesting. So this is one of our Wraith Lords, who is, yeah, fairly lightly kitted. This is one of the guys we sent in against the trolls, and he's going up against a Golem and a bunch of ghouls. So it looks like, you know, Helheim likes this. I should look up what remote attack spell it is, but I'm pretty sure it's a result. You can actually just make ghouls as well. But yeah, just the number looks like it's the result of a spell. But anyway, this Golem is kitted out for penetration, so he's probably going to be doing Soul Slay, which is not good for our Wraith Lord. Wraith Lords, you know, this is just base magic resistance. We have not boosted his magic resistance at all. 17 is not bad, but it's also not good. And luckily he's getting hit. Well, I don't know about luckily. He got hit with Paralyze. Yeah, he's pretty paralyzed. So ghouls are not great in combat. They do have like a poison attack, but you know, I mean, we're undead, so we don't really care about poison. And with Soul Vortex up, ghouls are, you know, a little weird because they're not inanimate, like a lot of undead units. So you can actually soul drain ghouls just fine, but yeah, Soul Slay, not good. And Soul Slay gets around immortality, so that is a Wraith Lord we do not get back. So that is very sad. We do not like this Golem. We'll have to see, you know, if we can do anything about him. And then yeah, we do some raiding here in Forbidden Forest. I think this is, yeah, one of our Spectres, yeah, our heavily kitted fellow. And he bumps into, I think, this same Van Jarl with his, you know, ghoul friends. So this is a little dangerous. That Van Jarl's not super well kitted, but I mean, you know, he does have some additional armor, and this Spirit Helm is actually pretty nasty because it just, you know, casts Lightning Bolt nearby him, similar to the shield that does the shock attack. So yeah, I guess if you combine those, you get a lot of lightning coming down. And then of course the ghouls, which not as dangerous. Our protection is really high here, and you know, we're undead, so we don't care about their poison claws. But yeah, that lightning bolt could be bad. Yeah, we're susceptible to shock. We have no regeneration. Other than we do get to do the life steal. So again, these guys are not inanimate, the ghouls. So you know, our life drain attack here is going to heal us, which is pretty good because we're probably going to be getting hit by that Spirit Helm. Not sure why, because it has a decently long cooldown. I thought it was every round. Let's see, auto spell, lightning bolt. It doesn't really say. Yeah, I'll have to check, but yeah, it seems to be pretty quiet here. Not really sure why we're not getting hit. Maybe it's out of range. I don't know. Lightning bolt has a pretty long range, so yeah, we're not super killy. So this is gonna take us a while. And yeah, I would have expected that helmet to do more, right? Because you know, this is taking us so long. If the helmet was shocking us, you know, every turn with our susceptibility, yeah, there goes a shock as he routes off. That was weird. So yeah, we get lucky there. So I mean, that's just an HP route, right? I'm assuming, or maybe a morale check failure, and like the whole squad went. So that worked out for us. But yeah, it was a little freaky. And of course, the Van Jarl escapes, and you know, is probably able to retreat successfully. And then we have another raid in Gentle Woods here. I think this is our. Oh no, this is our Axe Warrior group, and yeah, they're up against just a little bit of PD. We haven't seen them in in a little while, seen them in action. Yeah, throwing the axes. I go back and forth on that. Oh. Oh. What did we run into? There must have been a Van Jarl here. Or was that the Van Hearse? No, no way. Okay, yeah, we ran into a Van Jarl. I was gonna say I don't think the Van Hearse, the PD commanders usually don't cast flight on themselves and then yellow into the back line. So yeah, we ran into a thug, and yeah, our warrior chiefs are good, but we didn't give our warrior chief any gear, and even if we had, I don't think it would have helped. So anyway. The Axe Warriors now retreat because they're leaderless, so that did not work out. But, not the end of the world. Like, yeah, we lose, half our Axe Warriors and a Warrior Chief. Like, they're not incredibly cheap, but they're not expensive either. And, Axe Warriors are pretty cheap, so this stuff is going to happen. Not the end of the world, but it is sad that it didn't work out. And then, yeah, this is just a Van Jarl against, just a little bit of leftover garbage in the Vanheim-Baratos War. And then I believe this is, Dione against minimal PD. He does just fine in those situations. And then this is us jumping on top of Ubar. I believe this was our, Wraith Lord. And yeah, he's up just against minimal PD, so he should have no problem there, even though I think that's one of our unkitted ones. And then, yeah, there was a battle in Baratos. I think this is Baratos coming out. And yeah, this one's a little interesting. So this is, the Doom army from Vanheim. He's just got like all the casters in here, a bunch of lizard shamans, his super choppy sacreds. And Baratos is bringing out their god. So this is a Bronze Colossus. I am not too familiar with this. It's an inanimate, and let's see, an 8 spellcaster is really useful. I'm not sure, he does have combat speed 4, and he is like decked out here for combat, it looks like. He's going to be really killy with like these 2 brands, and he gets an attack from his helmet. He's getting really good elemental resistances from this elemental armor, and then of course he's got extra shock resistance on top of that. So yeah, shock resistance 40, really high production. I mean, no defense skill to speak of. He is just a big old bronze statue, so he's going to be taking a lot of hits. His hit points are good, but not fantastic. But yeah, I mean, this is scary stuff. Certainly the maidens, would fail against this. And then he's, brought a couple mages here, to add on some buffs to this guy. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. There's probably going to be Wrathful Skies, and this is enough. Yeah, Legions of Steel, Body Ethereal, right? So now he's Ethereal as well, which is probably going to be useful. Yeah, now the buffers are just, running off. Yeah, I think those are just Thunder Strikes. I think I hear some Air Elementals. He's putting Mist Form on himself. Yeah. There's Army of Gold that went off or something, Army of Lead over here. Like, yeah, this army is going through its full script. So yeah, and here's some Air Elementals. He is size 6 though, and with this much shock resistance, which is down just a little bit, he must have, there's an Iron Skin in there somewhere. I'm not actually sure if that's worth it, but maybe. Those Van Heers do hit really, really hard. So anyway, he's size 6, so he won't be able to be trampled by the air elementals, and really good shock resistance. Then he casts Rain of Stones, which you don't actually see as much. It's a battlefield-wide kind of like wipe spell. It doesn't do a ton of damage. I'll have to look up the specifics. I think it's better earlier, and I think here, because Vanheim got the Arrow Fend, right? So everybody's got Air Shield. I'm pretty sure that, these are considered projectiles. It's just a bunch of stones that rain down from the sky. It is kind of nice earlier, for elves to get rid of their glamour. And of course, the stones raining from the sky don't care about defense. So, yeah, but at this point in the game, like, I don't think it's going to be enough. Wow, that was a big hit that he just took. So that's kind of scary. Who is responsible for that? Yeah, you can see, like, the air elementals are not doing shit. The Van Heers aren't really doing anything either. And then, yeah, False Horrors pretty much never do anything in terms of damage. Here we go, 23. Van Jarl with Gate Cleaver. Yeah, so Vanheim has some thugs mixed in. Gate Cleavers are super scary. They actually give a malice to your attack, so it can be difficult to connect with them sometimes, depending on what you're up against. But when you're up against, you know, just a giant bronze statue, connecting is like less of a problem. So that is super bad news. Yeah, I don't think he has any regeneration on here either because, yeah, he's inanimate, and I don't think you can give regeneration to inanimates. So yeah, he is almost dead, and he's completely fatigued out. Not sure if he's getting hit with like some fatigue spells, or you know, maybe, I'm sure like Rain of Stones takes a decent amount of fatigue, and yeah, I'm almost positive there's going to be that Van Jarl with the Gate Cleaver that got him. Yeah, that's a really useful, you know, we've seen Helheim mix some of those guys in as well. So yeah, Gate Cleaver is not just for breaking down fort walls. So yeah, Baratos loses their god, and wow, yeah, they don't get any kills out of that. Well, they get 142 somehow. I don't know, maybe some bugs or something was summoned. But anyway, he doesn't kill any permanent units, so yeah, that's kind of rough. Like a good attempt. I think, you know, had he not had those Gate Cleavers mixed in, he could have at least like turn timered that army, I think. So yeah, definitely a worthy attempt, but it did not work out. And then yeah, let's see. This is Helheim against Yomi. Can't remember. Let's see. Van Jarl against, yeah, Dione. So a little bit interesting. So let's see. Does this guy have? There's an unkitted Van Jarl. So my money is definitely on this Dione. And yeah, he has Spirit Sight as well. Lots of Spirit Sight running around. That's got to be on the Bless. I don't think it actually shows here. So yeah, I'll have to double check. Maybe the Helheim doesn't normally get Spirit Sight, and it's just on the Bless. But anyway, this guy's got quite a bit of kitting, you know, kind of, again, more just like chaff clearing. But I think it'll be more than enough to take out this Van Jarl. Yeah, he's putting up Soul Vortex. Wonder, is he just going to make skeletons? He put himself to sleep. Is this? Oh no, he's got Battle Fright. No chest wound here. So no excuse, really. Yeah, I guess maybe just too long. Legions of Steel is pretty fatiguing, actually. And he's like right at path because you need Earth 3, so I think it's like 40 base. But nonetheless, yeah. Van Jarls are good, Dione are better. So yeah, that's good to see. You know, definitely the fewer these Van Jarls running around, the better for, well, everybody but Helheim. And then yeah, we get attacked here by Helheim in Strongdale. And I was briefly confused because I was like, wait, Yomi is attacking me, but no, this is a Helheim Dione. So one of the Dione that he has stolen, he is sending in, and he's giving it a little bit of magic resistance gear to help prevent it being stolen from him, and, you know, giving it some quickness boots and some armor. And yeah, we have just minimal PD here, so he's gonna have no trouble with that. He's left the default weapon on, so he's chosen not to replace the weapon, which is something that Yomi has not actually really done yet. I'm assuming that this has been rekitted. Possibly this is just the kit that, you know, because when you steal a unit, you also steal whatever kit it comes with. So it's possible this is how Yomi kitted it, but it doesn't really look like the kind of kit Yomi has been using. I mean, you know, this weapon does a lot of damage. It's a two-handed weapon. You know, it's a magic weapon. There's really like nothing wrong with it. It's not great at clearing out chaff. And then yeah, his fatigue is fairly high, but you know, he hasn't put himself to sleep. Let's see if he. Okay, and he's gonna bless himself. Yeah, I mean, Helheim's bless is pretty good too. So. Any sacreds you steal, right, if they can bless themselves or they get blessed, they get your bless, not, you know, their original bless. So yeah, he goes in with pretty high fatigue as well. So yeah, but I mean, you know, they do have the Soul Vortex to, you know, drain, and yeah, of course, our poor warrior chief. So yeah, this is going to be our problem now. So, you know, we get to fight Yomi, sort of. A little bit. We get the Dione experience. And then let's see, this is our raid in Javal Kish. And yeah, this is Vine Willow. Well, he's not really a super combatant, and he's a heavy thug, let's say. But he's gonna have no trouble with, yeah, just a little bit of PD. He's not very killy, but you know, he should be pretty difficult to kill, so he does work for us there. And then there's a battle in Yomi, and this is Helheim assaulting. So yeah, this is for Yomi's capital. So let's see. Yomi's got a lot in here. Bunch of skeletons up front. Some of these dispossessed spirits, which can be kind of nasty with this paralyzed. Like, that's definitely messed me up before. Plenty of sea trolls. Lots of sea trolls this game. A few mechanical men. We know about them. Tons and tons of eagles. A few Dione hidden in here. A few sprites. I think he's got like some, lore masters probably, and sages definitely. Looks like his god is in here. An idol of men? Yeah, Human Rights Council. Here he is. This is the one that's been sending sages out to their deaths. Very high paths, lots of gems, got a ring of regeneration. Yeah, decently tough to kill. So, I mean, there's probably a gate cleaver out there. So, this guy won't be able to just completely turn things around on his own. But, yeah, there's like a ton of mage support in here. I am not familiar with this mage. Death 2, probably skeletons. And then, he's got some Sea King thugs as well, kitted out. Okay, this guy's maybe caster mode. He has no gearing at least. So, I mean, Yomi's got a ton of stuff in here. This is his capital. Helheim has brought quite a bit of stuff, though. So, probably a lot of these. Yeah, there you go. There's the gate cleaver. So not all of them, and it looks like there's quite a bit of injury here, so there was probably a strategic spell that was cast to damage this army this turn. So going in with some damage, probably gonna get up like mass regeneration or something, like with this Ivy King, so it may not matter. And then Queen of Air, so Fog Warriors maybe. He's got his typical Death Caster. It's probably going to Wailing Winds. He's got some of these Ether Warriors we've seen him use. Plenty of trolls, lots of trolls, mostly trolls for the troops. And then a bunch of Banelord thugs. Really nasty. Like, these guys all have Demon Banes. So, these guys are kitted out to kill Dione, I would say. Ton of caster support on both sides. Definitely going to be interesting to see how this goes. Looks like the skeletons and everything go in, just right away. Some lightning bolts coming down. Ton of battlefield globals go up. So let's see. Darkness. So Yomi put up darkness, which I don't think is really going to matter. Both sides. The trolls aren't going to love darkness. There's trolls on both sides, but Helheim probably has more trolls. So maybe darkness is going to be good for Yomi. Firestorm coming up. I think, from Yomi as well. I don't know. That could go either way. Yomi has a bunch of Long Dead, and Long Dead do not love, a bunch of fire damage, so we'll see about that. Yomi also putting up Rigor Mortis, so Fatigue Blade, that could work. Let's see, Wailing Winds, of course, coming from Helheim. That's pretty standard. Wailing Winds coming from Yomi. So you're seeing some Wailing Winds on Wailing Winds action here. Relief coming up from Yomi, which makes sense because he's doing Rigor Mortis, right? So he needs to counteract his own fatigue play. And then Quagmire, I think this is also coming from Yomi because I think I saw his Azure Mage, maybe from a throne or some site. This is not something Yomi normally gets. Wow, that's a lot. I don't know about that many. I guess it's your capital, so why not? But I don't think he's going to be able to use all of these gems, but he's got them. So anyway, I believe this is the guy who put up Quagmire, which is also a fatigue-related play. Yomi really doubling down on the fatigue, and then maybe hoping for the Firestorm to do most of the killing. Although, did he manage... So far, no fire resistance from Yomi, which is going to be really important, and, no protection buff either from Yomi. Because, Firestorm, it hits everybody, right? It does not care. Now, on Helheim's side, right, I'm seeing, full resistance buffs, basically. So he's got Fog Warriors down, it looks like. He's got his fire resistance. He's got his cold resistance. He's got his poison resistance. No protection buff yet, which is important for Firestorm. But with the 5 fire resistance, especially these trolls regenerate, and they have a lot of hit points. I don't think Firestorm is really going to be able to kill the trolls. Maybe a few of Helheim's squishier casters, maybe. A couple random evocations going down. A lot of guys going down to... you can see all this burning right on on Yomi's side, and like this is their own firestorm, I'm pretty sure. And then yeah, of course now my client is lagging a little bit. All right, we're just gonna let this run nice and slow. The Eagles go in. I think that was the luck, battlefield-wide luck for someone. Yeah, so Yomi got the battlefield-wide luck down, which is good. You know, that's gonna make everything. Of course, the undead aren't gonna get helped by that. Let's see. Still no protection buffs from anybody. Somebody threw down Doom, so you know everybody's gonna be cursed. It's just the nature of these late game battles. When a big army faces a big army, everybody's gonna come out a little rougher on the other side. So yeah, I mean, Eagles are decent combatants, although they are also not going to love the dark. Like, yeah, look at this, attack skill 6. I mean, their attack skill is like decent normally, right? But it's like full darkness, so their attack skill is like halved. And like attack skill 6 against like elves, forget it. And you know, of course, the elves, like they no doubt got blessed, so you know they're gonna have their full. There's some winded deaths going down. Not sure who that's coming from. Could be coming from either side. We'll have to see if we can find any decay ticks. These are like the elf shots coming in from the sprites. Looks like quite a bit of routes on Yomi's side. These are Yomi's trolls routing. Should probably actually do duel, because yeah, there we go. They actually have pretty close colors otherwise. It's kind of hard to tell. There's just everybody's got sea trolls running around. So yeah, I mean, you know, there's a bunch of Eagles back here, but like I said, I just don't think they're really going to be able to do anything. They're going to hang out for a while, right? They do have a lot of hit points. Yeah, okay, so at least one of the winded deaths, you know, actually winded death I think hits everybody, so who knows? It could have been anybody's winded death. And yeah, they didn't get any magic resistance buff, so Yomi didn't manage to get off a magic resistance buff. They have decent magic resistance anyway, but this eagle is decaying. But they have pretty good hit points. And it does look like at some point Yomi got mass regeneration up. So like these eagles are going to hang out for a while, but I just don't think they're really going to kill anyone. And then also I think, yeah, it looks like Yomi put up mass protection, which is a good spell. Absolutely a good spell. You know, I really wonder, maybe this firestorm, let's just double check, because that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because the big thing about mass protection is that you are susceptible to fire. So yeah, who was it? Who is responsible for Firestorm? Actually, hang on. Let's check the name. That should tell us. No, it was not that Flame Spirit. So like, yeah, that's who would be the most likely candidate from Helheim, I think. Yeah, so here we go. It's this caster right here. So it was Yomi that put up Firestorm. So I don't know, putting up Firestorm with mass protection. Well, I mean, you can see the result. Like, I mean, pretty much everybody on Yomi's side is on fire. Now, I mean, that said, like, with, you know, the trolls have regeneration built in. They have a lot of hit points. You know, he got mass regeneration up, right? These guys are regenerating at 20%. So, you know, you can kind of regenerate through it, right, with some of his troops, but, you know, I think, you know, I forget the exact mechanics, but you don't want to be taking damage in terms of, like, morale situations. That's not ideal. And, of course, you know, we have, like, double Wailing Winds up, and then, of course, you know, all the skeletons are long since gone, right? Like, I mean, you know, that was a big middle finger to his own skeletons, so yeah, I don't know. You know, he probably just didn't have the research for like Army of Gold or Army of Lead. You know what I mean? It's Alt 9. It's tough to get to. Maybe he just didn't have the casters, although Dione usually get decent Earth. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure about this combination Firestorm mass protection. And like, yeah, so I mean, definitely Helheim is losing some stuff here, or at least some of it is retreating off. Yeah, wow, that's probably the god throwing like some massive evocation. Yeah, making some bugs. You know, he's way off script now, right? So, you know, the AI is just like, more units. Like, they're just gonna burn up in the firestorm. I don't care, more bugs. And then, you know, probably put himself to sleep. Yeah, summoning bugs. Oh, he's out of nature gems at least, so he'll stick to fire stuff, which is good considering the situation. And I mean, yeah, this is not over yet, actually, so maybe I spoke too soon. Yeah, see, this is definitely better, right? So that's probably living fire. So popping out a ton of fire elementals, although It looks like, yeah, Yomi's last set of trolls here are headed for the hills. It was looking like they were going to make a push, and it looks like, I mean, Helheim is mostly just down to their casters. Like, some of these Banelord thugs are still active. Yeah, I mean, they're super fire resistant, and it looks like, I mean, at least like the Dragon Helm, and they probably got buffed with some other stuff. Not sure how they're getting up to 25, but yeah, they definitely care zero about the Firestorm, and really probably these fire elementals as well. And there's still like some Ether Warriors hanging out, although it looks like they have routed as well, although they've fatigued out from Rigor Mortis. Probably a lot of units are fatigued out, actually. Like most of the casters and trolls, yeah, are super fatigued out. Yeah. So these Banelord thugs are actually critical, right? Because they're undead. Another reason that it's kind of sad that Yomi just like threw away. I mean, long dead aren't very good, but they are at least undead, so they won't care, about Rigor Mortis. And yeah, okay. So that was wait, no, it was a Yomi caster, I think, that put up darkness. So we must have retreated off. And the client is not happy with this battle. Firestorm does generate like a lot of particle effects. Yeah, which Dominions, at least on my machine, does not love. So yeah, it's really just gonna be a question. Yeah, there's a golem. Like, can Helheim's inanimates like push through this Firestorm and like chop up these sleeping trolls? And ultimately, like, it's probably just the god. It looks like he just enlarged himself, or someone enlarged him. Yeah, so he's size 6 now. And he's used up all of his gems, so no more elementals. But, I mean, he's still a really serious caster. So there's a lot of things that, like, he could do. And, I mean, there's some Dione, although they're no doubt asleep. So, yeah, let's go ahead and speed this up, even though no more scrolling. Yeah, so it looks, here's the inanimate squad moving through. Golem definitely doing work. I think maybe 1 or 2 Banelords may have died. There's a Wraith Lord in there. So that's one of Helheim's Wraith Lords. And like, yeah, they are able to work their way through. Does look like someone died to the god, though. This guy maybe has a Gate Cleaver, I'm thinking. But yeah, he just went down as well. Like, yeah, the god is super dangerous here. So this might actually go to the turn timer. I'm thinking, because I mean, there's not much left. There's like some skeletons being produced. Let's see if anything's left on. Yeah, I mean, it's probably mostly just routed. Well, no, Queen Elemental Thunder, she's hanging out. Yeah, Wailing Winds is still going. Of course, it doesn't really matter for the inanimate, right? Like, even if he routes, which is unlikely, he can't go anywhere. So yeah, there's just a stream of skeletons coming from somebody. Yeah, wow. So it's just 2 Helheim casters, and of course, what the AI is like, hey, yeah, skeletons and ghost wolves. That's gonna solve this problem. In fairness, they're not on advance and cast spells, so like they're probably out of range for like just about anything else. So yeah, this is gonna go to the turn timer almost assuredly. And let's see what ultimately happens. So they won somehow. That's interesting. So I wonder, like, yeah, and their losses seem pretty low here. This might not be the same replay. It's hard to say. Because, yeah, I'm just not sure how they would get the kill on that idol. So possibly it shook out differently. But regardless, Helheim does come away with it. And they don't actually lose too much, and some of that may be due to the replay, but also some of that may just be because, a lot of the, casualties we were seeing were due to Wailing Winds, right? Both sides had Wailing Winds up, so probably there was quite a few retreats that Helheim saw, but, you see, like, he lost 6 Van Jarls, right? These are probably, like, thugged out guys that went in. He lost all the Banelord thugs, so, I mean, this is a lot of gearing that he lost. The Banelords are not cheap to summon in, and, Van Jarls aren't super expensive, so, but they're not cheap either. But, yeah, I mean, on the balance, like, for a capital and, like, to kill all of it is a lot of stuff. I mean, yeah, it's 217 long dead. I really think the Firestorm, like, mass protection, I don't know. I'm not convinced. So, yeah, not the worst defense from Yomi, but I do think that possibly could have done it a little differently. Maybe would have gotten better results. But yeah, I mean, the Helheim Juggernaut is tough to stop. Definitely an interesting battle. And yeah, Yomi's capital falls. So that is bad news. And then speaking of capitals and bad news, there's a plague in like half of our population in Almtide. And yeah, this is not a random event, almost assuredly. So there's a spell, don't remember what it is offhand, probably plague, with like decently high death. Yeah, you can just completely, well, not completely, largely ruin a province. Maybe should have put up some domes. It definitely had crossed my mind that like it's late enough and Helheim is a good enough player that, you know, some of the province killing spells might come out. And of course, like capitals are the #1 target for those kind of spells. Don't really have a lot of experience with like the dome province killing spell, kind of like counterplay. Is it worth it? Is it not? You know, once the game goes late, everything tends to get ruined anyway. So yeah, it was still really painful to see this, and you know, I've put up no defense. So you know, I'm still trying to figure out like, you know, is it worth it to put up some domes? Because there are certain spells that will block hostile spells. They have a chance of blocking hostile spells coming in, and yeah, this is pretty hostile. so yeah, we just lost a lot of money there. So that is sad. And then yeah, there's a hurricane. Let's see, we found a couple nature gems, more hurricanes, people leaving. Yeah, you know, false prophets. Although that's not the one we have to patrol out. And then yeah, various siege notifications, and the most important of which is we did actually breach. This is the throne fort, so that is really good news. Crumble helped us out there, you know, with our additional siege strength. It does look like we only are going to need 3 turns. I mean, only that's still not the fastest siege ever, but yeah, it's not terrible. So you know, we'll be able to assault next turn. So yeah, let's take a look at movement and everything. So in terms of the throne, we are actually, let's see, yeah, storming with, yeah, our Wraith Lords, right? So the Wraith Lords are going in, and then we're also going to bring in, it looks like, our Gargoyles. And, you know, we talked about this, right? Like, the human troops are definitely, like, pretty vulnerable at this point in the game. And I just don't think that like trying to jam a bunch of the Steel Maidens through the gap is really going to help us that much. The Gargoyles can fly, right? So assuming that Storm doesn't go up, which is not a safe assumption, right? You could magic phase units inside of this fort, although we did use our Stone Sphere. I think it's our Stone Sphere. Somehow we got a Scry on here. There's various Scry spells as well. And there's not a whole lot in here right now. You know, you can't see hidden units. So, you know, there could be a huge stack of Hell Herdings in there that we can't really see. But hiding units won't actually participate in the defense. Now, I mean, he can switch them over to, they could be hiding this turn, you know, as we cast it, and then he can switch them over to defend this turn. So, right, because we can see one of his casters who is normally stealthy. So, you know, that guy's probably not hiding. So there's a decent chance that this is all that's in here. 35 units, right? Trolls, Van Jarls, War Trolls, like, right? That's fine. You know, we can deal with that. You know, Trolls is no problem, right? These guys are set up. The Wraith Lords are set up to handle Trolls. You know, I mean, this is probably Wailing Winds, right? But the Gargoyles aren't going to care about that. The Wraith Lords aren't really going to care about that. So it looks like we may have, you know, gotten him, right? I mean, he just used a ton of his forces way over here on Yomi. Like, hopefully he hasn't been able to move too much over. Now, of course, again, you know, there are a lot of magic phase movement things, so he could move some additional troops in here, definitely. But yeah, we're going to try to storm with the Gargoyles, and we're going to sneak the Maidens out. All of them. So like all the human troops are headed out, along with a few of the elements that are like most useful. I think like anti-magic, like one of our communions. Yeah, actually no, this guy's just straight casting anti-magic, which is, Important in any battle, really, but just like absolutely critical for our really low magic resistance human troops. So yeah, he is just glued to our stack of Steel Maidens. And they are headed down here, and in anticipation, this is Machaca, another capital, so we would love to pick this up. And so yeah, we're just going to sneak our way over to Machaca, and we're going to try to siege that, start sieging it down with our human troops. And then, once, let's see, I think we still have our Vine Ogres hanging out here. Let's see, where are they? Oh no, they're moving as well. Where are they headed? I think they're headed down here. Yeah, so this fort, I'm not actually really sure why this fort exists. There's basically like no population here. There's some death scales here. Not actually sure what those death scales are from. But like, yeah, this 300 population, this province is almost completely worthless. But there is probably a lab in here, right? And so there's a fort. And so, yeah, I just want to I want to take this fort. I don't want to leave like a forted lab, in the back that he can sneak units into and just, cause problems. So I doubt this is defended probably at all. So, we can just send like kind of this is, our Terracotta Warriors and Vine Ogres and the Wyverns are probably like the weakest elements of our armies in terms of like killing power and etc. But they do provide pretty good siege strength, right? So, we're going to send it down here, hopefully crack this right away, and then just walk in and take it. Vine Ogres aren't great, but they can handle the wall defenders and, whatever random garbage is inside. So we're going to try to take this and then use our Steel Maiden group, our human group, to move over and, try to start the siege on Machaca as quickly as possible. We want to get as many of these forts in our hands as possible, right, before like the hammer of his response, right, now that he's going to be less tied up. You can see like Yomi is really disappearing rapidly. So we want to try to like lock this in as much as possible, because there's going to be a pretty big response. I mean, everything that we just saw and more most likely is going to be headed our way. So yeah, we need to finish these sieges as quickly as possible. And then there probably isn't too much here either. This fort makes a little more sense. There's a gold mine here, so still not a lot of population. Probably also not heavily defended. So, Vine Ogres, like, move down, siege this down, take this, move here, siege this down, take this, and then hopefully like meet up, over by Machaca, or maybe come back to the throne. I mean, we'll see, right? Depends on how Helheim responds. So yeah, so hopefully we'll pick up the throne province. We'll position ourselves to siege down Machaca, and position ourselves to start sieging down and taking some of these more minor forts. And then, yeah, moving some Axe Warriors in to raid, right? So it looks like 2 Axe Warrior raids this turn. And then we're actually bringing an Axe Warrior group back here just to sit on top of the fort in case everything goes wrong in the assault. It's good to like leave one group back. So we're just going to temporarily like pause these guys in terms of their raiding and just, have them sit on the fort as a just in case measure. And then, yeah, sneaking some other Axe Warrior groups forward in preparation for like some continued raids. This is the Dione, so we're sending some of our guys in. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know about this. We'll see, maybe. Vine Willow is not super killy in terms of his damage, but with a bunch of skeleton help, to help distract the Dione. Like the Dione, he's just using his two-handed weapon, so he's not going to clear out skeletons very well. Now he does have Soul Vortex, but he'll only be able to drain Vine Willow. He won't be able to drain off of the skeletons. So yeah, this could work. I do want to eliminate this Dione. I don't really want him to escape and, cause problems in the back line. So we'll see. Like, he may move forward. We may not catch him. And then, of course, this cuts into our rating, and, we won't keep Ubar locked down. But realistically, especially the way that this, he's pretty much unkitted, this Wraith Lord. And this is, right, this Golem right here. So this is where our other Wraith Lord was, and, he got wiped out, by a teleport and a Soul Slay Golem. So with this kind of kitting, like we really need to get these guys like some magic resistance gear, otherwise they're going to get soul slayed. So it would be really dangerous to just leave him sitting here on Ubar. So this way he starts heading home. We can get him into probably like this lab and improve his gear situation. So yeah, but that does mean that like we kind of halted our raiding in the north here, which is not ideal. And then yeah, moving a few more things to the capital, like just still continuing to try to set up a defense there. And then of course we have Venom Spew moving forward, to try to catch something if we find like some Helheim army that we can hit with Wind of Death. Like, yeah, he's going to be doing that. And, Wailing Winds is always an option. I don't think it's going to be as effective against Helheim because of a lot of what he has. But, it could work out. And then, yeah, it's just, some summoning. And then to close out, we have our own Golem operations going on. So we're going to be teleporting 2 Golems in to this province here, and they are going to kill this Golem. So Golems do not care about Soul Slay. They don't get targeted by it because they're mindless. So yeah, they're pretty good options for going after any kind of Soul Slay thug or caster. And so yeah, we've got 2 of them. One of them is set up with a Moonblade, so his job is going to be to actually kill the Golem, and then this other guy here with the Frostbrand, his job is going to be to kill all the ghouls, right? Because we don't want this guy getting hung up on the ghouls. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to wipe out that Golem. The fewer Soul Slay Golems that are running around, the safer life or unlife is going to be for our Wraith Lords. So yeah, I think that covers turn 89.